This is the new electric Mercedes G-Wagon, and it's a little bit like non-alcoholic German Weissbier. You may think it sounds disgusting, but give it time, you could actually end up enjoying it. And if you're like me, you might actually end up drinking only that and not alcoholic beer at all. Anyway, that's enough virtue signaling from me. Yes, I've gone teetotal, well done, blah. Anyhow, in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it. I'm going to talk you around the exterior. What the f*** went on there? Show you the interior. Electricity. Ooh. I'm going to tell you what's good about it. Oh, got it in my eyes. What's not so good about it, you're going to get an unexpectedly sweaty bottom. I'm going to take it for a drive on road. It got a little bit kind of wayward. And off road. Ah! Yeah. I'm going to show you its party piece. I feel really sick. And of course, I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. Mercedes has made a few changes to the design of the G-Wagon. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it looks pretty much identical. However, they have given it a new grille. And this electric version has its own bespoke grille, which is more filled in. Though in the UK, the electric version will get the standard car's grille, which looks like this. The lower bumper has also been redesigned compared to the previous generation car. And moving down the sides, you have new alloy wheel designs. In Europe, they start from 18 inches, but in the UK, you can only get the largest size, which is 20, because we like our rims big. Now, as you can see here, there's this bit of trim down the side of the car. On the electric version, it's got this blue accent in it, and you've got the EQ badge. Interestingly, the car was going to be called the EQG originally, but then Mercedes scrapped that idea, and it's just called the G580. Right, moving down the side, very similar to the previous generation car, and then round the back, redesigned rear bumper, and with the electric version you can get this storage box which is for your cables. More on that in a bit, though if you want to, with the electric version, you can opt to have the spare wheel instead, like the standard internal combustion engine vehicle has. Now, there's some other changes to the G-Class. They've tried to make it more aerodynamic. So if you come around here, you will see these little flaps there? Also, if we move to the front, this bit of plastic trim here is thinner than on the previous generation car. And there's a little hump just there on the roof. You know how HGVs have like that big wind deflect on the top of their cabs to improve efficiency? That's basically the same idea. And then at the front, again, you have these little wind deflectors. Now, you might not think they're going to do much, but they do have an effect. The previous generation G-Class had a drag coefficient of 0.55 CD, which is pretty terrible. Those changes have reduced the drag of the new car to 0.49 CD. However, the drag of the electric version is even less, because there's some further changes. For instance, the bonnet is slightly more raised up. Look at this hump. On the electric version, it's flat on the internal combustion engine car. Also, you have these special, more aerodynamic alloy wheels there, which reduce drag. Moving down the back here, look, you've got these air breathers in there as well. All of that means that the electric version has a lower drag coefficient of 0.45 CD. So now the G-Wagon is as aerodynamic as a bungalow rather than a two-story house. What else do you need to know? The price. It's going to start for just the normal diesel, £136,000. For the electric version, it's probably going to start around £160,000. For the very first edition models of the electric version, £180,000. And for the range-topping AMG G63, you're talking £185,000. There is one design change I forgot to show you about the new G-Class. So there's no keyhole in there anymore, it's a G. Apparently customers wanted keyless go, and so Mercedes has given it them. Now, normally I have a bit of trouble with Mercedes keyless go, but it seems to work on this. To open the door, you just put your hand in there like that. Look, opens it. And then to lock it, you just go like that. But you might be thinking, what happens when the batteries go flat and you need to like open the door manually with a key? Don't worry, there is still a key. Come on, I can never get these things out of there. Look, and the keyhole is here, round the back. You just have to flip that off. There it is in there, look. Look, look, and then we can get in. Let me in. Let me in. There. Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! How's this supposed to work? Huh? Huh. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, you can try it. There's a man from Mercedes going to try it. Here's some bits.
Oh, you lost something.
There we go. Let's see you do it.
The key? Do you have the key or?
You can't have that. You can't have that because it's.
Of the car.
Wait, whoa!
No, it closed.
How did you do that?
Why? What's the problem?
What the f? What went on there?
Shut off again, but.
Wait, now open it.
It's keyless entry.
Oh. Mercedes have made a few changes to the interior of the G-Class. You've got a new steering wheel. More on that in a bit. You've got the latest infotainment system, and now, being the electric version, you have these EQ modes such as charging range and so on and so forth. But it's saying, not available, please switch on the vehicle. There we go, look. Right, also on this electric version, instead of a rev counter, you have this power meter. Another thing that's changed is here. See this? This is where you have your diff modes, but you've got these extra buttons on it here. So more on that in a bit, but in the normal car, that's where your diff buttons are. They've also reconfigured this area here as well. Plus, I'm going to show you in here, you've got some new cup holders that are heated and cooled. Look, isn't that nice? And induction charging for your mobile phone. And there's your two USB-Cs. You've got some more storage underneath here as well. The glove box isn't all that big, but it's adequate. And you have some decent sized door bins there as well. Gotta say, quality in here is absolutely lovely, as always has been the case with the G-Class. And look, on this electric version, we've got some blue stitching for electricity. Ooh. Here in the back, there are a couple of changes. You can get this new rear entertainment system, and obviously look, on this electric version, it's got the charging information and stuff. Though I still think the bezel is too big on this, and it's a bit close to your face. Now, if you look down here, another change is that you get these USB-C charging ports there, and they're 100 watts, plus look, that's HDMI for the screens here in the back. I don't think I would specify that. I'd rather have my own iPad. But there we go. Other than that, it's just like the old G-Class really. So knee room's pretty decent, headroom's really good, quality's lovely back here. The rear windows don't go all the way down. Look, that's a bit annoying, but look, they are double glazed. Look at that, double glazing for improved sound insulation. What's also interesting is that now in the UK you get the Burmester sound system as standard. In terms of seating, well, the middle seat is fairly reasonable. It's a bit harder than the outer seats, which are more comfy, but the car's quite wide, so you can carry 3 people in the back at once. Fold this down, we've got some cup holders there, showing they're exposed. And does this give a little bit of through loading? Do I have to, I don't know, I think it opens. How do you open this? Where's the thing? There's a thing. There is a thing, I'm sure. As you can see, it's a real pain to access from inside. I'll probably have to remove this. And the logo. This was a disaster. Let's put this back and pretend it never happened. This didn't happen. Sorry for wasting about a minute of your life. Apologies. Anyway, you've got posh airplane style storage pockets on the seat backs, decent sized door bins back there, and this one has climate control here in the rear, which is handy, plus seat heating, and more on that in a bit. The boot capacity of the electric version of the G-Class is very small. Look, you've only got this space here. That's it, that's your boot. The rest of the boot is filled with batteries. Actually, that's a lie. This is just for your cables. Look, it's just for your cables. Keep them nice and tidy. The boot is the same as it was before. Look at it, nice big square shape, around 640 litres. Very usable, very practical. You've also got some things like this, look, tie down points. You've got nets. But if you want to fold down the rear seats, you have to walk around like this. And then flip this base out, up, then fold this chair down, push it past there. Then if we go back to the boot, you'll see a problem. Look. See this ridge? See that? It's not a smooth, continuous, flat floor, so it makes it harder to load heavy items and push them to the front of the vehicle. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the new G-Class.
This thing is bloody heavy. It weighs in at around 3.1 tons, which is about 500 kilograms heavier than the normal internal combustion engine G-Class. As a result, it has a reduced payload. You see, you can only carry around 450 kilos of weight in it. Reason being that if you go over 3.5 tons, you would need a special license to drive this vehicle. Unlike with the normal G-Wagon, you cannot get the electric version with a tow bar. Reason being, the tow bar system and all the extra bits you need for it add 80 kilograms to the car's weight. And you don't want to do that because of that payload issue I've already mentioned. So there is no ability to tow with this car, even though it probably could tow quite a decent amount. The new steering wheel has those touch-sensitive buttons which you can sometimes activate. Look. You activate with the pad of your thumb when you're steering sometimes. I'll just turn the radio on. I need to turn it down quickly, otherwise we'll have a copyright infringement and demonetization, and we don't want that. Unlike with some other SUVs where the running boards really are just for show, you do actually need them on the G-Class to get in and out of it, to step up. However, if you go off-roading, or even if it's just dirty on the road, they do get covered in muck, so when you're getting out, look, you know, you can see that? You end up just sliding your legs across them and then you get dirty all over the back of your trousers. Be warned, if you go for the shiny interior trim, it's quite reflective, so when you're driving along you get things just flickering in your peripheral vision, which is somewhat distracting. In the back seats, the position of the heated seats button isn't ideal. Have a look, it's down here, see that? Now, let's say you're off-roading and you're moving around the cabin like that, this can happen. You accidentally turn it on with your knee. And if it's a hot sunny day, you're going to get an unexpectedly sweaty bottom.
It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car.
As someone who used to drive a G-Class, one of the problems I found with the car was that whenever you give someone a lift and they get out of it and they shut the door, they never shut it properly. Reason being, you can't shut it like a normal car door, otherwise it just won't shut. Look, see, it's not shut. Look, it's not shut. You really have to slam it. But Mercedes has fixed that problem, and it's something to do with this, yeah? You see, what this is a vent. And what it does is vent the air inside the cabin. So when you shut a door, the pressure changes inside the cabin, but the air needs somewhere to go, and it comes out of here. And now because this vent is bigger than before, it should be easier to vent the air, which means you don't have to shut the door so hard, because it's not fighting against the air pressure. So let's have a little go. So, look, first attempt, and it's shut without a slam. Look, look! No way! In some ways, that's a little bit un-G-Class, but hey. Actually, to tell you the truth, while it is better than before, if you're really limp-wristed with it, it still doesn't shut. See? But it's definitely an improvement. To make up for the lack of a rumble from an internal combustion engine, the electric car has something called the G-Raw sound experience. If I turn it on, hear that? There's like this humming sound, like an engine running, but not like a digital engine running. And obviously when you drive it, you get a sort of like noise to add some emotion into the whole experience. Now, if you think that's a load of synthetic nonsense, you can of course turn it off, and it's never going to sound as good as the 4-litre twin-turbo V8, but still, it does add a little something, if you ask me. In the previous G-Wagon, the reversing camera was up here underneath the spare wheel, which sort of obscured the view. So they've moved it lower down, which does mean it's more susceptible to get covered in road grime. But look, there is a washer. Go wash it! Look at that! Oh, got it in my eyes. But that's not the only camera system on this car that's new. Up here is a dash cam, so it will record if you have an accident, but you can also use it to record your off-roading, so you can watch it back and just admire how good you are. The new G-Class has this off-road cockpit button, so you press that and it brings up all this off-roady information. Plus, you now have a special view of the camera which will show you underneath the car, so that actually gets painted in as you drive forward. This electric version has some features over the standard car. Instead of the normal diff buttons, which you don't need because the diffs engage automatically on the electric version, you have this button here which actually causes the car to turn more abruptly on loose surfaces, because when you're turning tightly, it will make the wheels on one side of the car rotate in the opposite direction to the others. Now, by pressing that button there, you can go one step further and actually use that functionality to cause the car to spin on the spot. You can actually rotate it around on the spot, 2 whole circles. That's not all though. The electric version of this car also has a variable cruise control for off-road, slow, medium or quick. Plus, it has a better wading depth than the standard G-Class, which is 700mm for the standard car, 850mm wading depth for this particular electric version, which beats that of a Cybertruck and a Hummer EV, though it's still not quite as good as a Range Rover. That can wade up to 900mm. One of the problems when you convert an ICE car into an electric car is that you have to put the batteries somewhere, and usually they eat into the boot space or the passenger compartment. But what Mercedes have actually done is squeeze the battery pack in between the ladder frame chassis, and they've been able to do that by actually giving you 2 levels of battery like that. So 2 levels of battery sit on top of one another with cooling in between them. Now, one of the risks of doing this is if you're going off-roading and you hit a rock, you could pierce that battery pack and then there'd be a nasty electrical fire, which you probably wouldn't be able to put out. So what Mercedes have done is fitted this guard panel underneath the car. Now, if they'd have made that out of steel, it would have added 200 kilograms to the car's weight. So instead, it's made out of tough, reinforced plastic carbon fibre, and it weighs 50 kilograms. Now, this thing is so tough, Mercedes have been doing testing with the car, driving it over a ramp and smashing it down onto a rock to make sure that it doesn't pierce when you're off-roading, because that would be very bad. Apparently, you can drop 3 times the weight of the vehicle onto this panel, onto a rock, and it will remain intact. Mercedes has had to redesign the rear axle on the electric version of the G-Class. Reason being, in the normal car you have like a rigid axle with a differential in the middle and it moves around like it's all fine. However, because this has this electric motor system here at the back, you couldn't have that on top of the axle because you'd have too much unsprung mass, because that weighs about 150 kilos. Also, you can't have cables, these electric cables, moving around when you're off-roading because they could split. So they've separated this out and then redesigned the rear bar like that, so you still get all the good chassis articulation and off-road capability that you have with the internal combustion engine car. You're probably wondering what's under the bonnet of this car, so let's have a look. Ooh. Interesting. Let's have a peek underneath there. Actually, before we do, let me talk you through the engine choices. So you've got a 3-litre diesel, which puts out 367 horsepower. There's also a 3-litre straight-six turbo petrol, which has 450 horsepower. Then there's the G63 with 585 horsepower. Now, all those cars have a 9-speed automatic gearbox and 4-wheel drive. They also have a little mild hybrid electric motor with them. So when you first put your foot down, you get a boost of torque, up to 200 Newton meters of torque, which helps get you on your way, and it also smooths out the gap between gear changes. Anyway, this is the electric version, so let's have a look at this massive frunk that they've created underneath here. Oh no, there's not really much space. You could probably wedge some things in there, but that's where your motors are. But to find out more about those, let's go somewhere else. The car actually has 4 electric motors, but it's not one on each hub, as you might imagine. You have 2 electric motors at the front and 2 at the back, and they're actually joined together in a power unit. So here's a power unit from the front with 2 electric motors in. There's 1 electric motor, so that drives this way, and there's the drive shaft coming out of it, which will go to the left wheel. Then there's another one pointing in the opposite direction with the drive shaft going out that way to the right side wheel. Also, if you look inside here, you'll see there's 2 different gears. There's your high range mode for just normal driving, and then there's your low range mode. The electric version of the G-Class has a 116 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is good for a range of 285 miles. So slightly less than the range you can get from a Tesla Cybertruck. You can rapid charge this car on DC current at 200 kilowatts, and you can go from 20% to 80% full in less than half an hour. However, if you're using your piddly little 7 kilowatt wall charger, it's going to take about 18 hours to fully charge the battery. This new electric G-Class has 587 horsepower, which is 2 more horsepower than the G63 AMG. Has way more torque though, 1,160 Newton meters compared to 850 Newton meters. So you're thinking, it's going to be quicker to 62 miles an hour, isn't it? Well, no. You see, this is quite heavy. It's about 500 kilos heavier than the G63. So 0 to 62 miles an hour is stated as 4.7 seconds. But what's the reality? I'm going to find out now using my specialist timing gear. Let's launch it. 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa! As it got faster, it got a little bit kind of wayward. Yep, it's quicker than they say. 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.68 seconds. Driving this electric G-Wagon is a little bit odd. You see, you've got serious performance when you put your foot down. I mean, instant response, it just picks up. Now, one of the things for me with the G63 is that while it is super quick, for that moment when you first press the accelerator pedal, nothing really happens because it has to change down a gear, the turbos have to spool up before it actually takes off. With this, it's on it straight away. And from the driver's seat, the performance seems pretty much identical. In fact, it's a bit more so in this because of the instant response. Thing is, it's just so odd getting that kind of performance and the car pitching up like that without any noise. Let's try the G-Roar experience, see if that just makes it feel better. Kind of adds to it a bit, but it's not as good as the sound of the V8 though, is it? In fact, when you're just pootling along, it's a little bit in the background. It goes quieter if you go into comfort mode. In some ways I prefer it in comfort mode. It's just like a little bit of extra theatre. I think it's all right actually. The suspension seems softer than it used to. Maybe it's because you now get all models as standard with adaptive dampers. So when you're in comfort mode, it is actually quite nice. As with all Gs, whenever you go over a bump, you do get a little bit of shimmy because you've got like that ladder frame chassis. It just transmits some of the shakiness into the cabin via your bottom through the seat. In terms of the handling, this is a big, heavy vehicle, and considering that and the fact it's got a ladder frame chassis, it actually corners all right. I think overall the dynamics of the standard car are better, and once again that's just down to the weight. One thing I have noticed with this electric version are the brakes. So when you stamp on the brakes, you can tell that you're stopping 3 tons worth of vehicle. It seems a little bit harder on its brakes than the petrol version. That's the problem of carrying around an extra 500 kilos in terms of battery and electronics and stuff. One thing that's noticeably different between this and the internal combustion engine vehicle are what these paddles do. So they don't change any gears because you don't have a 9-speed automatic gearbox like the internal combustion engine model. Instead, if you press on the downshift, you get an increase in the regen braking. So when you lift off the accelerator, it'll actually slow down more abruptly, and you can go for a double minus there, and it really does slow down quite a lot. It's almost one pedal driving, so if you lift off the accelerator, it will slow you down quite a bit, but it never comes to a complete stop. Look, still moving along. Now, I wouldn't drive like that. Now, one of the reasons is if you're constantly slowing down and regenning, it's not as efficient as coasting for as long as you can. So you can put this car into a coast mode, and you do that by actually pulling up on the paddle to get D+, and then when you lift off, the car will just coast. And that's the best way to be as efficient as possible. Now, the problem with that is you might end up coasting into the back of another car or off the road because you're coming to a bend. So to prevent that, you can pull up on the paddle again to go into D auto, and what that'll do is let you coast up until the point the car needs to slow down, such as when you're approaching a car in front, and then it will automatically apply the right amount of regen to slow you down to keep you a safe distance but not overslow it. It'll even do the same thing when you're approaching a corner. So when you're coming up to a corner and you lift off the accelerator, it will coast but will slow you down if it needs to, so that you don't slither off the road like it's doing now. There is something cool about just having an electric G-Wagon that has that instant response, that's silent when you want it to be. In fact, I think the best way to drive this is sport mode, if I go into individual, and have driving sport, suspension in comfort. That is bang on, because then you get the faster throttle response, the comfort suspension, and I think I'll have it without the noise on, because there's something quite cool about a silent G-Wagon. Well, I say silent, apart from the wind noise from the bluff body. I think if I was just tootling around town, like a lot of people who drive G-Wagons will be doing, the electric one makes a great case for itself. Best thing is, congestion charge exempt. It's a bit of a shame that that's how most will be driven in the UK, because this is a proper off-roader, and the electric version in some ways could be even better than the petrol version. And to find out if it is, I think I need to get off the tarmac and into the dirt and mud. This is Renato from Mercedes. He is an engineer, so he's going to help me out while I'm off-roading.
Oh, really?
Good. First thing I want to point out though is this car doesn't have the nice Alcantara up there or leather on here, and I don't like the steering wheel as much either.
You can choose the different style of the roof as well. Maybe the full leather one.
Yeah, I think so. That costs more money though, obviously. Anyway, let's get going. So just I'm going to drive along here. I can just drive along in normal like road mode on this bit, right? There's no point changing anything else at the moment.
But if you want, you could change the trail, which was...
Oh, you still got the sound?
Yeah.
The central locking sound, like a gun going off. You were just saying there's a different mode, trail. What does trail mode do?
So it adjusts the damping setting, the accelerator pedal and the steering setting.
Okay.
Especially for this kind of purposes, for light off-roading.
So the car is now better set up to drive on this gravelly surface.
Yes.
Have I still got loads of throttle response?
You do?
It's not... wait a minute. Let's get into sport again. No, I prefer that. That's more aggressive. You can spit stones at the people behind you. Okay, sorry.
So even more, the more dynamic mode is rock, where we turn off the ESP, so it will slip the wheels. The traction control is off.
Oh, let's do that. Can we do that now?
This is the one with the...
Oh, I have to accept it for legal reasons. Oh yeah, I like that. Because you got like that instant torque, it really does. That's not going to do too much for my range though, so let's not get too carried away. I want to go into low range mode, so I just go into, what do? Neutral?
Neutral.
When I'm coasting?
Pre-select this.
I'm in neutral, I'm going to start rolling back. Brake.
You're in there, you need to go to drive again,
Drive.
and that's it.
Now, that's even better. So obviously we've got no locking differentials as such because the motors just control all that anyway through their torque vectoring.
Yes.
And so in theory you should get better traction with this electric model than the internal combustion engine model.
The combustion has also advantages with the differential locks, but here with the 4 electric motors you control each individually. As soon as you detect any slippage, you stop the engine and send the power to the other wheel.
Which is better then, the locking differentials when you just lock it, or this torque vectoring for off-roading?
So in this car you have the advantage that it's actually always locked and always open.
Yeah, so it's better.
It's better, yeah.
Okay.
So it's locked, but when you turn into the circle, into the corner, it doesn't stiffen up the car.
Sorry. I need to turn around again. Can we do the thing?
The G turn, not here because it's too high of an angle.
Okay.
You can try the G steering in the back. I will turn it on for you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is the special G steering. So I want to turn around there, and normally I'd have to do a 3-point turn, but you think I can get round here in one go?
You don't have to go around it, that's right.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, yes. Oh, nice. So you probably missed that because we didn't have any external cameras, so I'm going to show you now. Imagine this, right? I want to turn that way, but I'm too slow at turning the wheel right now. Oh no. We have the answer. Can you press the button? Oh, it's
active.
engaged.
It's active, yeah.
Watch this. I should have driven off the edge there, but I didn't. I like that. It's a really cool feature. Something you definitely don't get with the petrol version. So this G steering is always engaged. Up to what speed?
At 25 I saw before. So if you accelerate a little bit more, 26.
It'll go off, okay.
Yeah, the red one will go off, and 50 it will shut completely off.
So if it's still on like that, when I made that turn, was the G steering working a little
Only
bit?
at full lock.
Okay, so it only works when you give it full lock, otherwise it's not engaged. So now, oh, that's wicked. And when you combine that with instant torque, it's just like, right, I thought I was going to crash into that. Now I'm going to go around this tree. Oh, I'm not convinced that it's going to make it round. And
Yeah,
panicked.
but that's too much throttle.
So my brain's wanting me to thrash it to get it to spin, like you would do a normal car, but you don't do that, do you? I quite like doing it a bit stupidly though. It's also, look, I want to apply it opposite lock. I don't know what I'm doing.
You have to get used to it. It's a feeling which
it's weird, isn't it?
Which I didn't get to feel before.
A feeling I didn't get to feel before, and I felt it for the first time with you, Renato. Beautiful. What's this showing?
The torques which are applied to each wheel. So you see the outside wheels are pointing forward,
Yeah.
and the inside wheels are pointing backwards. So they're braking the car on the inside.
So you're actually braking the wheels, actually going backwards.
Yeah, but they actually stand still.
This,
You can see it from the outside.
Okay.
But you need to apply some torque to keep them into place.
Ah, Is it almost like a dig where you lock at the rear axle,
Yes,
but more extreme still?
it is, yeah.
Because that's like proper hardcore off-road vehicles. They'll lock the rear axle, won't they? And they just like pull themselves around on the front.
Yeah, you can lock them left and right. And
It is like drifting. I've done this a lot now. Why aren't I bored? I should be bored. Not bored.
maybe we can really do it at the top later.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's try something else. So you say this water's about 850 millimeters deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if it's over that? Are we going to damage the electrics? What will happen?
The water will probably start pouring into the car over the vents, and the car will float up. You will lose traction.
I might have just scratched your paintwork a bit there.
It doesn't
sorry.
matter. it's not my paint.
So what I might get wet feet?
No, because the car is completely sealed up.
Oh,
Sure.
is it going to go through here? This is horrible.
Yes, it will. Just need to go in there under
Right.
10 kilometers per hour and maintain your speed.
Okay, right, because it's rained a lot, so this could well be over 850.
Maybe, we will see when we get in there.
Okay, so let's just recap a second. If it's over 850, what is the risk? What's the problem?
You will get your feet wet.
Okay,
So drive in slowly, let's see how deep it is.
now let's just do it. You seem brave. This seems really deep. I can hear it all underneath the car.
Look how deep it is on this side.
It's so deep. I haven't got wet feet yet. We're out of here.
I turned the G63.
Was that close?
No.
No. We're now entering the more hardcore off-roading section. This looks fairly steep.
So what's happening now, you're already in low range in driving program Rock. You have the off-road crawl active in the slowest speed level, but you're pressing the pedal, so you can always press the pedal over the off-road crawl.
What's off-road crawl? What's going on?
So it's like an off-road cruise control.
So now
Yeah.
I'm not touching anything and it's just cruising up the hill. Can I make it go quicker?
Yes,
How?
with the shift pedal on the steering wheel.
This one?
Plus is faster. We have 3 modes: D, D minus, D plus. D plus
Okay,
is
let's
the
go
fastest.
D plus. Oh,
Nothing happened.
well, I've just ground out the bottom.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, you've got the plaque, that carbon fibre protective shield means that it doesn't matter if I do that. Whereas normally if I'm like hitting my diff, I'm like, oh. Whereas it doesn't matter with this, does it?
Yeah. So if you keep right here and go a little bit faster, you will probably also bottom out and scratch it.
Ah!
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, but didn't do nothing. So if you look from the outside now, you probably won't even see that it's scratched. It takes a lot more to.
Do you know what we almost did though? I almost accelerated into the back of him.
It will look good on the camera in the front.
Wow, that was horrible though. It felt horrible.
Yeah, it did, but you get used to it, and if you know that it does nothing to the car.
Because if you do that in that car, I'm thinking, oh, have I done my sump? Have I done my diff casing? Have I done my exhaust system? I don't know. Bloody hell.
Keep straight.
Ah!
Left. A little bit left.
I don't know. I'm on auto cruise. I need to go slower now. I want to do it on my throttle pedal. There. I'm glad this isn't my car. I'd be too paranoid if I spent like 180 grand on the new electric G and just smashing the underside of it off rocks. It's really good how you can control the power, isn't it? Don't you think?
So
compared to the petrol engine.
You have to drive it as well, but the pedal is really flat. So even if it gets bumpy, your foot starts jumping around, you won't feel it.
Oh yeah, look at this. Yes!
Yeah, just keep a little bit distance here. Here is a place, if you don't keep completely to the right, let him, so goes a little bit to the right and straight, maybe we will bottom out. Now straight.
You're like the anti-instructor.
Yeah.
This is what an instructor would not be
Maybe
saying.
go a little bit faster to the plus stage.
Are you crazy? Hell, nutter. You're the worst ever off-road instructor.
Sorry for doing that.
You're telling me all the wrong bloody lines.
Yeah, off-road driving is as slow as possible.
You're there go over that horrible rock, accelerate. How is the weight affected? Because obviously you want as light a vehicle as possible when off-roading, and this is super heavy.
So it still has 100% slope ability as the petrol car.
Okay.
You can do it, but the lighter the car is in the loose surface, it's better.
On the looser surface, the weight does go against it, like sand and stuff like that.
You can feel it,
Okay.
definitely, but the motors are calculating the power, the torque really good, so it's like having all 3 differential locks engaged all the time.
This is nasty.
Just choose one line.
I'm going to choose the wrong line. I don't want to do this. Bloody hell.
You don't need to press the pedal as much, so you can do it slowly as well.
FYI.
Yeah, it's possible to do it. It's possible even to stop and start again, something like this.
No, you've encouraged this kind of behaviour. I'm afraid you're reaping what you've sowed now, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, I think we have to start filming again now because.
So that's twice I've almost crashed.
So now you can try as slow as possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to go quick.
Yeah.
It really is easy to control slowly if you want to. We're going up here quite quickly, really, aren't we?
It's actually because we want to reach the top.
Yeah,
quite
okay.
fast. Usually we drive much slower.
Really?
Yeah. This is only for you right now.
Essentially, what's happened is I'm a bit late for my plane, and I should actually be leaving on the road already. But I just want to experience as much of this as possible. So they're letting us drive quickly up here. So you wouldn't recommend this kind of driving on this kind of terrain?
No, as I said before, as slow as possible, as fast as needed.
Okay, so you know when you're doing the durability testing, are you driving faster than this, obviously?
We do, because we want to have more impacts on the car.
So you're not that worried, really?
No.
More if I just crash into the back of it?
The only weak point right now would be the tires,
Okay.
which are also really durable. You had few hard hits, we have no problems with the tires for now.
Right, so yeah, you can get a puncture.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to do the G-turn, so I'm going to rotate it on the spot.
You need to activate it, the red button.
This one?
Yeah. So you have to be in D, you have to activate it. You need to choose your direction, left or right, with the pedals. And you have to hold it all the time.
Oh, like,
And you have to hold the steering wheel straight. If you turn it a little bit, try to turn it, it will block. Yeah, it will stop.
Okay,
So
right.
You have to concentrate not on the accelerator pedal because it's 0 and 1. So
Okay.
just press it full in and concentrate.
That's
on the
how I
steering.
drive anyway.
Yeah, okay. So it's easy for you.
It's on or off the accelerator pedal now. So then you just...
Yeah.
What happened there?
You turn the steering wheel.
I did not!
You have to hold it with both hands. Yeah, let's try again. Activate, you need to go to drive. Drive, choose the side, wait a second. Did not activate first.
I've broken it.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Why did you break my car, mate?
I've broken it.
No, just a second.
I know, I've definitely broken this.
No, wait. No.
Okay, we've not
Choose the
broken it.
side.
Chosen a side. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
I feel sick. No, I feel really sick.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like this.
You need to do the other direction too.
I don't
Turn
like
out. Really?
Yeah, didn't like that. Oh, and I can smell horrible tyres and stuff as well, that's worse. Well, I'm just going to be over there for a bit, I'll be back in a moment. Let's try the other way.
Yeah.
I like it less that way, that's even worse.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm going backwards. Bloody hell, that's horrible. Oh.
I think you need to get used to it.
Yeah.
I think I did 300 of those. I didn't even feel it.
Oh, I can't believe you did that. It's like some weird fairground ride. It's like being on the waltzers and they're the worst ones. I prefer it that way. Yeah, let's go that way again.
Okay.
Yeah, this way's not so bad because you're going forwards. So this allows you to just turn around on the spot and go, right, I want to go back the way I came. Why did you do it? You just did it for lols, didn't you?
The practical use would be...
No, whoa, don't. You just did it for lols, didn't you?
Everybody likes to have some fun in it.
You just did it for lols.
Why does it turn 2 rotations?
To make you feel sicker? Why?
Because it's more fun to do it more. If you need to turn around somewhere, you would need maximum of 1 rotation. But, if you miss your exit, you can do 1 more.
It is just for lols. The PR blurb will say there's some practical application, but essentially what happens is the engineers thought, oh, we can do this, let's do this, it'll be really cool, and let's make up a reason so that we can actually get it past the board members.
They also liked it.
They also liked it, yeah. Right, I enjoyed that in some ways, and in other ways not so much because it made me feel a bit sick.
I've jumped out of the electric G-Wagon and I'm now in a G63 on the road. And this is going to be interesting, just to compare how it drives. Now the first thing I'm noticing is the suspension is firmer, though I am in sport setting. Let's go into comfort mode. It does have a slightly stiffer sensation to it, obviously being the AMG version. But it's not bad, still comfy. Now I've got the distant rumble of that V8 engine. Even in comfort mode, you can hear it just there in the background. Oof, and I love the sound of it. It's interesting there already on the brakes. You can feel that it's a less heavy car. I'm not going to say lighter because it's still very, very heavy, but 500 kilos lighter is quite a significant, useful amount. One thing that was interesting about the electric G is the fact that with the regen braking, they actually always have friction braking happening. So as soon as you touch the pedal, your friction brakes are working and they bleed in the regen. So it just makes it feel more natural than when the first part of the braking is regen alone before the friction brakes kick in. But I do prefer the brakes on this AMG version, which it just seems, it's just the weight really. It just seems a bit more with it when it comes to stopping. Now in comfort mode, there is definitely not the throttle response of the electric version. Not a lot's happening. I'm going to whack it into Sport Plus. Let's try the same thing again. That's a bit better throttle response, but it has to build. So the instant acceleration is not as impressive as the electric G-Wagon. However, that noise is better. Right, let's give it a squirt. It feels more fun accelerating in this. Now I'm going to go to manual mode. Let's change gears myself. So it lacks a throttle response, but as the power builds, it feels faster. And it also feels faster from the noise that you get. And I can hear it coming out the side exhaust. Gotta say, similar money, 180 grand for the electric version, 185 for this. I'd go with the AMG. Well, I would go with the AMG if I was never going off-road. Now, one of the big updates for this new G63 is a special hydraulically linked damper system. So the left and right dampers are linked by a hydraulic connection, and what that allows AMG to do is control the amount of lean the car has in the bends. So you don't need a normal anti-roll bar because the system takes control of the effect of preventing the vehicle from leaning, and that helps it stay flatter in the turns and feel more sporty. As you go through the different driving modes from comfort all the way to Sport Plus, the level of anti-lean increases. Now that does help the car's handling, and as a result this definitely feels sportier to drive than the electric G-Class. I mean, you expect that though because it's the AMG version. However, that electric G-Class does counter slightly with its ability to torque vector and control the amount of power going to each individual wheel. So that does help propel that car through the turns. But ultimately, the extra weight, that extra 500 kilos of the electric G-Wagon means that on road, I do think I'd rather have this G63, which when you consider they're the same money, for me is quite an easy choice. Off-road though, it's a different matter. That electric G-Wagon with all its capability just means that it's a great off-roader. An off-roader if you're only doing short off-roading. If you're going overland, crossing country, you know, doing that kind of thing, you're going to want the petrol version just because you can load it with jerry cans and just head off without fear of running out of battery and having nowhere to charge the car. Overall then, new electric G-Wagon, really, really impressive. Would I prefer to have the petrol version, this G63 in particular? Yes, I would. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like.